We are reconvening this open meeting. It is 5:30. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I forget, do we have any public comments? No. No public comments? Okay. There is one item that requires action from executive session.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the staff to negotiate with Valley-wide Security Services for a period, for a contract for a period of 3 months, not to exceed a total of $35,000, with the additional provision that they also implement the drug testing policy as required by PUB.
There's a first. Is there a second?
Second.
First by Mr. Guerra, a second by Mr. Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. John?
No, there was no other action taken in executive session.
John?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on my report, I've got the financial report. Leandro's going to do that, and also just an update on our rating agencies interviews that we did this past week. And then we did have a meeting on the weir in Mexico City. Fernando or Gigi will make a brief presentation on that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Leandro Garcia, Chief Financial Officer for Brownsville PUB. Before I get into the financial performance report, I do want to report back that we did have some conference calls last week with our rating agencies in preparation for our commercial paper refunding, which is scheduled for April. We did have some very good discussions with Fitch and Moody's on Tuesday and Standard & Poor's on Wednesday. Mr. Arriaga attended two of the meetings, two of the conference calls. They got a good update on our financials. They're very pleased with how we're performing financially. We went over quite a few statistics out of our CAFR, and we're hoping to hear back from all three by the 19th, next week, so we can proceed with the refunding schedule with the timeline. At this time, we are planning to come back to the board with resolution and to the City Commission on April 14th for further briefing and further status on the commercial paper refunding. We do anticipate some favorable language from the rating agencies. Our goal is to have the ratings affirmed. We currently have an A2 rating with Moody's and an A rating with Fitch and S&P. But what we're looking for is some favorable language in the outlook. Where it's stable, we may have a little improvement to a positive outlook with maybe one or two of them, but considering we've been performing well and have brought Oakland Union online and are benefiting from that acquisition, they're looking at our situation very favorably at this time. With that, I'll get into the financial performance report. Through the first 4 months of the fiscal year, through January 31st, PUB has realized net operating revenues totaling $50,909,764. $12 million of that came in January. Other revenues and interest from investments and other non-operating income, when you add those in, we're at $53,897,449 in gross revenues. To get to our base for calculating the city transfer, as you all know, we usually back out the fuel and energy costs, which total $17 million through January, and wholesale energy expenses at almost $800,000, and then our contributions to Southmost Regional Water Authority, $1.5 million, leaving an adjusted gross revenues balance of $34,455,654. 10% of that is calculated as a city transfer, which is $3,445,565, and then we net out the COB usage for a net transfer to the city of $2.1 million. O&M expenses continue to be under budget. Through January, we were at $13,557,000. Other expenses at $766 brought us to a total of $14,323,568. Debt service obligations, we back those out, $7.5 million, or at amend, we're at a total of $21,839,627 in requirements, excluding fuel and Southmost, leaving an overall surplus balance of $11,298,77. $2.4 million of that coming from January performance. That $11.2 million is being shared with the city after COB usage. $2.1 million is the city transfer for the first 4 months, and $11.2 million to BPUB's reserve funds, which consist of the funds listed here: operating reserve fund, currently at $333,336 as we continue to build $1 million this fiscal year. Our operating subaccount for fuel adjustment, $666,000. We're targeting $2 million this fiscal year. Our improvement fund, CIP funding, $5.4 million. Our improvement reserve fund, $1 million, leaving a net surplus balance to our improvement fund of $1.7 million. Consumption on the electric side pretty much stayed stable between December and January at 94 million kilowatt hours, slightly over our 2007 actual numbers there. We're hoping to see an upward trend here during February as we get the final numbers, and then through March and April, of course. Overall, we're 13,741,000 kWh ahead of 2007 consumption levels. Water did see an upward trend here, going from 535,132 gallons to 547. At 547 is over our 494,428 2007 consumption levels. Overall, we have gained a favorable variance here of 92,131 year to date over 2007 levels. Same thing with wastewater. We saw a steady increase from 369 in December to 383 in January over the 341,765 January actual numbers. Overall, we're 105,572 gallons over 2007 levels, and these are in 1,000 gallons. Wanted to revisit with the board here our ongoing trend on the fuel factor and how it compares to production cost per kWh and production cost per billed kWh. The blue line represents the production cost against the total generated kWh, which it's a bigger base, so it would be the lowest trended line here in blue. The production cost per billed kWh would actually gets billed to customers after transmitting through our transmission and distribution lines is much less, so it calculates into a higher cost here per kWh. And then what I want to highlight here is how the fuel factor, the fuel purchase energy cost, has trended compared to those two indicators there. We did see, beginning in June, July, and August of last year, a steady fuel factor at 4 cents through the use of the fuel subaccount. We did supplement the requirements there for fuel purchase with those funds. We did begin to taper off the use there in October, November, so we did see some increases in the fuel factor. And then in anticipation of the Oakland Union scheduled outage in February, we did begin to increase the fuel factor here in January. You'll see that it did appear to be over the production cost, in both on the generated and billed. We did experience a few weeks in February with Oakland Union being down, so we wanted to, in anticipation of that, be in a good financial position to cover the extra cost during February. This graph here, or this chart, shows the distribution between the customer service charge and base rates and the fuel charge, and how we compare it to dating back to January '06. We're currently seeing an increase here because of the increase in the fuel and purchase energy charge, but overall we're well below historical trends here. This chart provides a comparison of bilateral purchases as a percentage of BPB loads served. The blue graph is the purchases. The other one is the generated. You can see here during November, December, we did have a few days where Oakland Union was down. So we had our own internal units generating less, and we did experience an increase in purchases. The unit did provide or serve as a resource during the full month in January, so you'll see that the purchase requirement there in January was much smaller than November and December. Comparison of our residential electric bill on a 1,000 kWh consumption level. For January, PUB's total bill was $102.11 compared to $105.08 for Magic Valley. The only other utility or REP, retail energy provider, that came in a little slightly under PUB was that GE Exa Energy. They are introducing services here in the area, but we anticipate, of course, fluctuations in their rates as well. All other utilities, as you can see, surpass the 102 that PUB is providing to its customers at $102.11 per month at 1,000 kWh. On the commercial side, we continue to be slightly over Magic Valley on our general commercial at 1,496 average bill versus 1,250 for Magic Valley. Almost at same level for the small industrial at 13,000 and a little over the industrial large commercial, 23,000 versus 22. I want to highlight our ongoing services to our customers here in the facility here. We've experienced an increase in customer visits. You look at the chart below, the graph here, walk-ins have increased by 205 when you compare the 07 to 08 actuals there. The call center has continued to receive an increase in calls, 161 over last year's calls. The cashiers, the walk-in payments, 259 increase. The drive-up, 700 increase. And an interesting indicator here is customers communicating to PUB via emails, an increase of 3,709. So we are experiencing a change or a shift in communication modes from our customers. Overall efforts, customer transactions continue to be or require emphasis or higher resources in the payment arrangement side. 40.8% of transactions here or contacts were for payment arrangements. Another big piece there is the balance inquiry, 17%. We're hoping that within a year we'll see improvements in those balance inquiries type of contacts with the implementation of the IVR, the voice over Internet Protocol system that we're planning, where we'll be automating a lot of the information we can provide our customers. That concludes our January performance report. Any questions?
More of a comment than a question. Remember last year was an unusually wet year, and our consumption of water and our wastewater decreased. And so what I'm saying is that probably this increase you saw here in January is probably more of a historical average than last year was. So.
It's weather driven, so we're expecting, we're hoping it continues to be.
But we don't have a historical average line or anything like this in here.
We can provide a 5-year kind of composite type of average that we can insert in this.
That way you can calculate what if the trend of the weather continues as it is.
Normalize it a little bit.
Yeah, you'll be able to see whether it'll be going up or down in the future. So.
We can do that in future graphs, kind of normalize it with the 5 years.
We can almost predict our revenues by the weather without looking at this.
Yeah. The hotter it is, the more air conditioning is going to be turned on.
Leandro, I have a question too. On your wholesale revenues and wholesale expenses, you were a little upside down. Is that a timing thing about actually recording revenues or expenses? It's not that much, but
Sometimes it falls into a timing issue. I can have more specifics, we can look at it a little closer.
it wasn't,
Think-
I mean, overall for the year, obviously the revenues are higher than the expenses, but I guess this last month it was opposite, but I don't think it's not a material thing, it just kind of stood out, so.
For 1 month.
Yeah.
It probably is a catch-up thing, an accrual.
An entry date,
Entry.
yeah, okay. Any other questions?
I just have one question. Oakley Union was down in November.
For about 2.5 days,
Oh.
they experienced some malfunctioning equipment. Same thing in December for about 5.5, 6 days. So during those periods, we do have to supply or meet our demand with purchases.
Okay. Got the report on the Weir meeting, Gigi?
Chairman, members of the board, Fernando and I had a very productive binational meeting in Mexico City regarding the Weir project. And I just handed out a list of agreements that we reached during this workshop. Some of the entities that were involved in the meeting were 3 of our consultants, Montgomery Watson, Hardin and Associates, TRC, and we also met with the Comisión Nacional de Agua, which is CNA, Comisión Internacional de Límites y Aguas, which is SILA, and International Boundary and Water Commission, which is IBWC. SILA is IBWC's counterpart in Mexico. The list of agreements that I handed lists 9 different items, but some of the most important items are number 1, we're talking about a hydraulic groundwater model that we've already done, but they're requesting additional information on the model. So we agreed that in 4 weeks we're supposed to be giving that information to CNA. The way the communication is supposed to be flowing is all entities on the Mexican side are supposed to be going through SILA, and all entities through the American side are supposed to be going through IBWC. And then IBWC is supposed to turn everything into SILA and vice versa. And then it's supposed to be distributed, down the line until it gets to the right entity. I think there was some miscommunication prior to this meeting, so we agreed that that's the way the information is going to be communicated. We also agreed that all information going through IBWC should be translated to Spanish before it's given to SILA, and it's going to be turned in on both languages, and vice versa. So we won't have any miscommunication after this. On number 2, we're talking about a letter that was written back in 2005. We're supposed to come up with some answers on some of the paragraphs. We went through the questions that they had, and some of those questions have already been addressed, either during that meeting or the meeting that we had in January. Number 3, we're supposed to... The SILA is supposed to deliver IBWC a scope of work items that need to be addressed in a study that they want a possible risk, technical risk for the project. And we're supposed to be getting that within the next 3 weeks. Once we get that, we're supposed to answer to that letter, and we'll move forward on that. Once we turn it back to SILA, then they'll respond to that, and again, we'll find out how many weeks that's going to take. So communication is going to continue. We also agreed that all the studies and analysis that we've done so far is for a conceptual project. So far, we have not done a design, and that once we approve this conceptual project, we'll move forward and continue with the necessary phases to do the actual design and construction of the project. We also agreed that within the next 2 weeks, each entity is going to come up with a name or names of members that are going to be forming part of a steering committee to continue the project. And that the first week of June, we're supposed to meet again and discuss all the technical issues that we were supposed to turn in during this time and continue moving forward. We also agreed that the steering committee must meet both sections, the IBWC and CLA, with a work program at that particular meeting to continue with the project to get to the point where we start the phases of the design and construction. We also agreed that any future questions that might arise during this time, that we will have a conference call with all the technical parties to make sure that we address all this information prior to our June meeting. So it was a very productive meeting. Do y'all have any questions?
Yeah, I know that you had a very busy week last week. You went with me
Right.
to Austin.
Went to Austin.
And you went to
I went
Washington
to
with the mayor?
Washington with the mayor, and met, our congressmen, senators, Homeland Security, EPA, Corps of Engineers. I had good meetings, on the project, and I think they're happy to see that the progress is starting to take place in Mexico and make this project happen.
We're out of town all week, weren't you?
Right.
That's good. That's good. A lot of work being done.
Right, good work.
Good work. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Item number 3, consideration and approval of Brownsville's Public Utilities Board's property insurance.
Lucy?
Chairman, members of the board, the request for proposals process for the PUB's property insurance was initiated with the advertisement of the invitation to submit proposals. The advertisements ran in the Brownsville Herald on January 6th and January 13th. On January 31st, the proposals were opened. An analysis of proposals was conducted by PUB consultant Ken Withey with Withey and Associates. Mr. Withey has recommended the Wortham proposal as outlined in the attachment titled Property Insurance Proposals. In addition, the quotation of insurance for PUB and South Regional Water Authority by John L. Wortham and Son is also attached. The premium is prorated based on property value between PUB and Southmost Regional Water Authority, and PUB is as follows. We have about 94% of that property value. The Wortham proposal provides continuation of current coverages for all the properties. The Texas Municipal League proposal was limited to non-power properties without coverage for windstorm, hurricane, and hail perils and machinery breakdown. This represents a total of $593,371 for PUB. The current coverage expires April 1st, 2008. Brownsville PUB staff recommends approval of PUB's property insurance as recommended by Withey and Associates for a total not to exceed $593,371.
Very good.
The property valuation is more or less the same as last year, but the total policy will be less.
Yes.
Make a motion, then we adopt the recommendation and approve the insurance policy as recommended for not to exceed $593,371.
First by Mr. Guerra.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sanchez. Any debate?
Was there any change in the deductibles?
No.
Any further debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, consideration and approval of the audit report for the period ending September 30th, 2007. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, as you recall, last board meeting, Mr. Carlos Casco's managing partner with Patillo Brown and Hill did highlight some of the results from the audit today. We have posted it as an acceptance housekeeping type of action. If you so desire, I can review some of the highlights for you, or you probably had a copy delivered to your office today, and it's a report that really reflects good performance for PUB.
Very, very good report. Any questions for Mr. Garcia?
I make a motion, we approve the audit report as presented to us.
I second it.
First by Mr. Guerra, second by Mr. Farias. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the general manager and chief executive officer contracting authority up to $50,000. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, the local government code, which is what we subscribe to as a municipal utility, provides procurement guidance there as to what is competitive, what we need to put out for competition. The code language pertaining to procurement was recently changed. In essence, the authority, or the requirement for competitive bidding was increased from 25,000 to 50,000. Last year, we did have quite a few transactions or purchases come to the board. There's an attachment here, provides 33 different actions, totaling 1.3 million, that were in between the 25,000 and 50,000 level. We did take this proposed change to the Finance Committee back in February, and we're here before you for your consideration to grant our GM the authority to contract up to 50,000, which would be in line with the code authorization.
Is there any discussion?
I make a motion, we approve.
Good question. It will be general manager and chief executive officer, both of you, right?
It would be the well, no, he is the general manager and chief executive officer. Yes,
I'm sorry, I apologize. It was finance officer. I'm sorry.
just John.
You guys.
Any other discussion? Okay.
I make a motion, we approve the authorization to allow the general manager and CEO, Mr. Brusiak, that is, or whoever, well, Mr. Brusiak, to have a setting authority, contract authority, amount not to exceed $50,000.
First from Mr. Guerra,
Second?
second by Mr. Sanchez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 6, consideration and approval to renew the annual supply of flexible base.
This request is to initiate the second renewal option on our flexible base contract with RML. We have exercised the first option in 2007. What we're doing with this action, though, is increasing the need from the previous amounts to 9,000 tons. So we are going from an annual amount of about 86,000 to 159,000 as a result of additional tonnage needed for the various activities we're going to be doing. The price is being held constant at $17.75 per ton. So this will be the second renewal option.
I make a motion, we authorize or approve the, renew the annual supply for flexible base as recommended by staff, not to exceed $159,750.
First by Mr. Guerra,
Second?
second by Mr. Vasquez. Any debate? All those in favor?
Just wanted to make one comment in that we've established an additional location for this flex base. It's located at Martinall. We did have some concerns about the noise that we make here in the yard from the neighbors, so this is helping to alleviate some of the volume of trucks coming in and out of the yard that we have here. I wanted to make that comment publicly so that they would know that this is kind of helping with a customer concern as well.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 7, consideration and approval of additional payments for requiring sludge hauling services during transition to new sludge hauling operation. Mr. Garcia.
Back in November, the board did approve for us to initiate negotiations with Synagro Technology after having received some bids to convert from a dry state to a dry state versus a wet state for disposal of sludge. We are continuing negotiations with Synagro. In the meantime, we are having to mitigate the sludge hauling requirements with the use of 3 contractors here. We came in February for authorization to pay during the previous months. We're back here to continue paying these invoices as we continue our negotiations with Synagro. We do use Terra Renewal, Movec Environmental, and A-Clean Portico. Our request here is for approval of $132,640.80 to continue those services.
Make a motion.
Discussion?
I make a motion, we adopt the recommendation of staff.
I had a question. I know that the expenses have gone up from the prior months. It's just more hauling of material, or?
I believe that it's quantity driven. You can have Eugene.
Quantity, and also the invoices sometimes don't come in all at the same time.
Okay, and the other question is this going to be finished soon?
Once we finalize the the contract with Synagro, at that point, we will not have this anymore. We will be with, the contract with, Synagro.
And when is that gonna happen?
We're having a meeting this Wednesday, so we're hoping to finalize the contract this month.
It was a first by Mr. Guerra,
Second.
second by Mr. Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Item number 8, consideration approval of water and wastewater utility adjustments for FM 802, US 7783 to Paredes Line Road, roadway widening project. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, additional work was required on this, improvement. We did experience a need to have, 3 bores, or 3 jobs for boring done. Valley Boring Service was contracted, to do this work, and since we had to meet the TxDOT's timeline, we did it on an emergency basis. Our bill for Valley Boring Service is $83,513. We also did require some materials, from Ag Pipe and Supply totaling $2,004,128, and Ferguson Supply for an amount of $124,504.47. The total combined additional requirements, in completing this work was, $210,418.75. So we're here asking for your, approval on this. Ratification.
Is there any discussion? Okay. And we have a motion, please.
Make a motion, we, approve the declaration of an emergency and the expenditure of up to $210,481.75 as requested by staff.
First by Mr. Guerra. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Mr. Farias. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Item number 9, consideration and approval of change orders number 4 for lift stations number 9, 24, 25, 26, 111, and Robindale Headworks valve replacement construction improvements. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, this work, or this item, requesting approval of change order number 4 with Peterson Construction. The board previously approved change orders 1, 2, and 3, which took the initial contract price from $1,327,994 to $1,343,670. This additional request of $45,755.65 was required to mitigate the contractors encountering of a gasoline type of leak situation where disposal of the dirt and extra care was required, as well as for the removal of some concrete that was encountered at the work site. So with this, the work has been complete, and we want to proceed with that change order number 4.
Mr. Chairman, the item is an agenda item because it's become a public project, very high visibility project, because it's taken so long to complete the work in that corner. Although the changes in the scope have not been that large, it has become an item that we wanted to make sure that we brought up here for the public to know that we are working on it, and these are the items that we've encountered that were not planned and have delayed the project. So the contractor is working as quickly as they can to resolve these. We had to put a hold on the project to make sure that we safeguarded the public in general and our employees as well.
Yeah, the final reading on this was that they encountered a non-hazardous situation. It wasn't like flammable gasoline. It was just the remnants of some order.
And the original contract was for $1.3 million, and basically from beginning to end, all the change orders averaged to about $60,000. So, I mean, that's a pretty good cost control based on the original contract price of $1 million.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any discussion on this item?
I make a motion, we, authorize, the expenditure of additional $45,755.65 for a total contract price not to exceed $1,389,425.65.
Motion by Mr. Guerra.
Second.
Second. Any debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item number 10, consideration and approval to amend contract with DocuCon Imaging Services to image and index customer service applications.
One of the efforts we've undertaken here is to try to digitize and have electronic files available for the customer service reps as customers call in or as information is needed on certain accounts for service. We did get board approval back in September to proceed with scanning and digitizing what we thought then was going to be 835,000 pages or 160,000 folders. once we did receive all the boxes, or sent the boxes to the vendor, they began experiencing different numbers per box and per folder. So what we're estimating at this time is having to scan 1,498,000 pages and 324,000 folders. So it kind of doubled, but we do want to proceed with this endeavor. It will provide, as I mentioned, electronic information for the customer service, all in our CIS system, so we can have access and respond more readily to customer inquiries. So the request is here to approve an additional $65,000 for this service, for a total amount not to exceed $132,688.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Y'all are digitizing records all the way back to 1970?
Yes.
Is there a need?
There is a need. We have customers' records, or that have been customers of PUB dating that back that long, and there is from time to time a need to research establishing the account, historical ownership, or just responsibility of accounts. So there is a need on an ongoing basis to trace back.
And how accurate is the second estimate of the expenses going to be? I mean, because the first estimate was way off, and I guess...
It's based on a good representative sample of the boxes they have already worked with. We did get DocuCom to provide us with a little bit more of the process, and we attached it to the agenda, what that they're following and how they're actually spending the time, resources in scanning and digitizing and cleaning up the data, and then sending us usable files that we can upload into our CIS system. So we're going to hold DocuCom to this estimate and take it from there.
Is there a legal requirement that we keep records 30 years old?
Yes, there is, and
if the account is active, and as you can imagine, some people in Brownsville have lived at the same address for eons, then we do need to keep those records. Once the account is inactive, if I remember correctly, it's either 4 or 7 years, then you don't need those records anymore. But so long as the account is active, the issue becomes, we have a room that's about half the size of this room that's nothing but folder after folder. And to go through them to find out which ones are active and which ones are inactive is a chore. So what we've decided to do is digitize the whole thing, and then we can deal with them electronically, and then hopefully in the near future start to destroy those inactive records.
And
At this point, we just can't tell which ones.
When do they anticipate the project to be completed? Is it months?
Yeah, I'm guessing a couple of months.
Couple of months.
In the spring, early summer.
Any other discussion?
I make a motion we authorize the amendment of the contract with DocuCon Imaging for an additional $65,000, not to exceed the $132,688, as recommended by staff.
First by Mr. Guerra.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sanchez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to consent agenda items.
Item number 1, there's a couple of just minor amendments or changes. If you'd go to page number 5, the word, I think, right in the middle of the page, 2 members, weather, it's weather, W-H. It's the last word on the right-hand side of page number 5, right in the middle. Yeah. The right-hand side. They put weather.
Yeah, we always
So
think
it's
about
weather.
the weather outside, but this is weather.
And then another change is on page 6, also in the middle, at the end of item number 12, the last sentence. Motion was made by Mr. Vasquez, seconded by Mr. Farias, and unanimously carried by the board, approved to execute. So then it mentions that the Mayor Amada and Mr. Sanchez voted nay, so it couldn't be unanimous. So you'd have to change that to approved by a 4-2 vote. And then on page number 7, again, toward the middle of the page. I don't know why I'm finding them in the middle of the page. It's the item number 15, second paragraph, second sentence, the convicts. I think it meant conflicts. Okay. And
A very good
by
editor.
quick reading, that's all I found.
Roger, Harold.
So, other than that, those changes, I would make a motion, if no one else has an objection, to approve all the consent items as presented to us.
There's any discussion? We have a first by Mr. Guerra,
Second.
second by Mr. Farias. Any debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
I therefore make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we adjourn till the next meeting.
First by Mr. Guerra,
Second?
second by Mr. Vasquez. All those in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.